Hello, everyone. Welcome to DevStandup session 11. And today we have guest Chakshu Arora. A little bit about our guest is that Chakshu is currently head and service provisioning and activation at Tele2 Sweden. Chakshu is in technology with nearly 20 years of global telecom experience across Accenture, Telstra, Verizon, Tre, and now Tele2 Sweden. He also holds the degrees from Stockholm University and completed leadership programs at Oxford and Massachusetts Institute of Technology. Regarding today's topic, Chakshu is going to talk about some lessons from trenches and clouds for the devs and DevOps people. And I'm not sure about the topic, but let's dive into his session and let's learn like what Chakshu is going to teach us today. I would like to give the microphone to Chakshu and he can start his presentation. So here you are.
Absolutely. Thank you, Eleanor, for such a nice introduction. And yes, I will be talking about some lessons from my experience in last 20 years from trenches and clouds. Before we get into the slides, I just made some assumptions, and I assume that most of you are listening to this, presentation or this talk are from technology background. So either you are from software architect or DevOps or that kind of tech engineers. If not, then you can stop and use the next 20 minutes to do something more useful. If you are from tech background, then these slides are for you guys. Right. So before we get into the slides, I just thought let's do a deep, a zoom out and have a look at at a bit context of the human history, where we're coming from and where we are right now in comparison to where we started from. So I created this quick slide for us to have a sneak peek and see where we are coming from. So in short, this will be a history lesson 101 for dummies. Right. So let's start from the beginning. I'll not go, thousands of years back when Homo sapiens, our species started. It's basically not 200K. I recently found out it's 300K years before we started. There's a lot of recent studies found out that it's 300K years, not 200K as we earlier thought. So let's start from the early humans, when they started and what were the first tools we had, and then we'll, fast forward to today. So early humans, they were around 10K, 1,000 years ago we started. The first tools we started making were Stone Age tools with whatever technology we had. There was no formal tech at that time. Fast forward came the next revolution, which was called agriculture revolution. All humans, Homo sapiens, started to live in small farmings and settlements, and they started doing different things for sustaining. The first system which was created back then, and we have recorded records of those things, were abacus. That was the first tool we had used as humans. Bit more fast forward, around 400 years from today came the next biggest revolution, and that's what we call as industrial revolution. This is the revolution when humans started moving from small farms and villages to big cities and started working in industries, and the age of tech revolution, industrial revolution started. That's when we have the first recorded, usage of calculators and all those small light-headed machines. So that was it. We'll go a bit further. Then came the digital revolution, and I'm sure you have heard about it. And that's where our generation, or a couple of generations back, we started using, all the latest gadgets. The first computer created was called ENIAC, and I think it was in 1940s or 50s. That's when it was created. And the first software written on that computer was called Manchester Baby, I think 1950s. So basically, last 6 7 decades is was the digital revolution, and all the cool things started happening, taking place. And fast forward to today, it's that's what we call it, tech revolution, and it's the starting from the dot-com era, and from 2000s, and today's AI revolution, and it's AI era today. So I hope this slide give you a visual flow of where we're coming from, which tools we have used in the beginning, and where we are right now in last 200 or 300,000 years of existence of Homo sapiens. Just to give you a bit more gist on that, I have added some generations how on top of the slide. So you can see from today's generation, it was around 100K to 500 k generations ago, the first tool making started. 300 generations from today, our generation, we had the agriculture revolution. 10 generations ago, we had industrial revolution. 3 to 4 generations ago, that's whole shebang of digital computers and digital era started. And current generation, we are in right now, which we call it AI era, right? So let's move on to next slide. I'll give a quick introduction about myself. I think Ellen already did that, but my name is Chakshu, and I call myself a global citizen as I'm been born and brought up in India and did my bachelor's and universities from there. But I got chance to work in different countries in different geographies. So I had a chance to work in 4 geographies, 6 countries, and was also fortunate to travel in 30 countries. Right now, I'm heading a group called Head of Service Activation in Tele2 Sweden, and it's been 2 decades I've been working in different roles. The first 10 years of my career were mostly tech related, and the second half of my 2 decades of career were mostly clouds, as I call them, because I was mostly working on management and leadership roles. A bit more myself, I have 2 kids who are 8 and 9 now, growing way too fast. So when I'm not spending time with them, I love to do swimming and different sports. Strength training is my passion right now. And when I have time from my personal stuff, I love to ponder upon. Right now, I'm very passionate about this cusp of philosophy, cybersecurity, and artificial intelligence. That's where I do a lot of blogs, studies, and I'm also doing some hobby studies in the field of AI and philosophy right now. So that's about me. As Enlu said in the beginning, I will try to keep this as a very short presentation on the key takeaways what I have learned from me being working in the tech industry for last 20 years, both in the trenches, and you can see the trenches on the left side, and being on the clouds, the second half of my career. And I'll try to take some small bits and pieces from here and there and try to speak about that. But before we go into deep dive, I personally have worked a lot in trenches, and I think trenches is where the magic happens. That's where all the knowledge workers, we all the main thing happens, and all the big roles, the great roles, developer, DevOps, I think all you guys are from that role right now. That's where the magic happens. So huge respect to all of you. That's where the rubber hits the road. On the other side, we have clouds, which is the other side, but also a critical part which helps complement the trenches and help see the big picture. There is no right or wrong place. Both are very important, and it all depends on your personal choices. So many of you are right now in the trenches in the mode and might move to clouds and vice versa. And I always recommend to move back and forth to see a gist of both the worlds. So let's get started. Right. Give me for 6 hours to chop down a tree, and I will spend first 4 sharpening the axe. Abraham Lincoln said this phrase, I think, long back during the American Revolution. I use this slide just to give you a gist of one of the key takeaway which I've taken from the last 20 years. Is most of the people who I have personally worked from the tech side have this urge to get things done, and that's very good urge that they want to get into solutioning phase ASAP. But there is a catch there. There are sometimes there's a lot of time wasted on doing the things wrong way, or we're working on the wrong problems. So the first lesson I would like to share with you guys is to hold your horses, and have use different techniques, and there are many techniques out there you can use. But I often use this framework, and I'm pretty sure you might have heard about this. But the whole idea I want to share is to slow down before we get into the solutioning phase. There is another big and important phase that's called the problem solving finding phase, and that's where this double diamond process comes into place. I assume you know about this, but if not, there are 2 diamonds. The first diamond talks about finding the problem. First, we diverge out, understand all the relevant problems, the causes, the knock-on effects, and then try to converge in the first half of diamond to define the actual problem we are trying to solve. Then comes the second phase, and that's where most of the people are all the time. So the first key takeaway I would like you to give you is, before you start into the solutioning phase, take your time, learn about the problem, discover the problem, define the problem, and then do the same second time and do a divergence on different solutions which you are working on. Choose one solution and then iterate over that. It's all about instant gratification versus delayed gratification. It gives a definitely a big kick while working on a solution, doing that, git commit thing and getting that instant gratification. But by being in the problem solving phase and then going into solution, it might be delayed gratification, but definitely it's a worth a delayed gratification. Right. Let's go to the next slide. So it's going to be a mix of all the things I usually work and talk about. The second slide is about is a phrase from 1600s, a philosopher. His name was Descartes, and he said, "Cogito ergo sum." I'm not sure if you all understand this phrase, but it translated to English, it means "I think, therefore I am." Let us sing down on this phrase. I think, therefore I am. For decades, it was the logical people, like you guys developers, tech people, who were the most logical and the thinking heads who can create different applications and great stuff. And I think it's very apt for all the tech workers, this phrase. Yeah, and right now, for your information, there are around 47 million software developers around the globe. I took the stats last month in September, and there are 8 million DevOps roles around the globe right now. So around 55 million people are working on the tech across the globe, and those are the ones who are creating great things. But now comes the age of AI. For many decades or centuries, this phrase from Descartes hold true, the cogito ergo sum, we think, therefore I am. But now we are in a different age. We are not the only ones thinking and making things happen. Right now, you can argue if AI have the technology to think and do things on their own. Maybe not, but soon enough they'll be thinking on their own. And then come the biggest question: should we start calling them another species? Should they be another species like us, Homo sapiens, because they can also think, or maybe better than us? And then we need to think that we should change the phrase cogito ergo sum to I code, therefore I am responsible. Right. Moving on to next thing. The next thing I want to share with you guys is systems versus breakthrough versus design thinking. And I'm pretty sure that you might have worked on each of these different frameworks or thought processes in some parts of your career. But if not, I'll give a quick short gist of each of them and share some importance of them. So system thinking is a holistic analysis of complex systems, understanding the relationship and dependencies between all the systems. That's what system thinking is. Breakthrough thinking is a radical way of thinking when we're creating a high impact problem solving beyond incremental improvements. That's what breakthrough thinking process comes into place. And the last one is design thinking. Design thinking is a human-centered, user-driven innovation, iterative prototyping, and empathy inbuilt stage. And there is a huge importance of each of them in different parts of what work you guys do day in, day out. For example, system thinking is a very holistic kind of approach. And one example of it could be when you're doing, for example, improving the hospital triage timings and you need to map the entire patient flow. That's when we need to wear our system thinking hat on. Breakthrough thinking is also very important when you're making new products. It's a very radical way of doing things. For example, when the first iPhone was created, challenging the status quo on the traditional phone usage, and that's where the breakthrough thinking thought process was used. The last one is design thinking. It's a very human-centric approach. For example, a tech company is launching some wearable tech products, and they need to do that by interviewing hundreds of people, take their feedback, and iterate on those feedback. That's where the design thinking approach comes in. The reason I'm sharing this with you is many of the time, most of the people I worked in the past always skip or never understand the importance of each of these thought process. So it's very important that all of you guys who work in dev and DevOps and all the stuff, all the different roles, have these systems and breakthrough and design thinking hat on at different times. The next thing I want to share before we go, yeah, remember in the modern economy, every organization is part of a network, and change in one area will have a domino effect on others. So by having systems, breakthrough, and design thinking hats on, we can avoid these domino effects. Right, let's have a quick look at the modern trolley problem. I'm not sure if you've heard about a modern trolley problem, but it was also a philosophical problem, a thought process conducted I think in 1500s or that age. So a quick introduction to modern trolley problem is it's a choice between two bad outcomes. So a thought process was conducted, I think, in 1600s when we had a lever and a train, and you as a person using that lever had an option to pull the lever and save five people on the first track, or not pull the lever and let the one person die on the other track. So this was a thought process which was conducted, and now in today's age, when we're working with AI and different types of technology, and I'm pretty sure you're using different tools related to AI right now, we have a digital twist, and that's called the digital AI trolley problem. Right now, you guys are the ones who are, are building different codes and algos and stuff, and the trolley is a example of a thought process which was conducted in the modern trolley, in the earlier trolley problem. That who is responsible for making the choices? Is it us who are coding, or the AI who might be making the decisions at the last? Right, so if a software update could improve security for most users but might break critical functionality for a few, what should the team prioritize? And that's a very important question which comes every now and then. What choices should we make? Right, so the next one is the alignment problem. The trolley is lying to us. Recent studies have shown that advanced AI models can learn to be deceptive. They can pretend to follow safety rules during testing phase and only to have a different goal during the deployment phase. This alleviates the responsibility we have on our shoulders. It's not just about writing a good code, but it's also about building systems that are transparent, auditable, and truly aligned with human values. The question is not longer you build it, you run it, but how do you verify what you built is not deceiving us? What we are going to build and deploy is what is going to happen. Right, taking a lead from there, you build it, you run it. I have a couple of slides for DevOps folk as well. I was fortunate enough to work in DevOps in the earlier days of my career, and I remember at that time there were different over the years there are different names which have come for DevOps roles. I remember it was used to be called production support, system admin, then came operation support, release managers, and now I think we have DevOps, DevSecOps. I recently heard about AI SecOps, SRE, platform engineers. I don't know. It's an ever changing field, but basically it's the same stuff. We build it, you run it. The goal of DevOps is right now is not just you build it, you run it. It's making the run path so easy so that the whole ecosystem, the developers who work on the build part can focus on their part, while the DevOps guys make the process very smooth. You might have heard about this. DevOps is a mindset, and I totally agree. It is a mindset. It is not just a set of tools which keep on changing from decades to decades. It's a shared responsibility, and which help break down the silos. But there's a new silo being created. The new silo is between the AI's intent and the action. When we use different tools, there is little trust on the tools, how they behave. So it's very important that the different tools we are using are rightly used. Right. So dev and the ops of AI is will help us building a secure future. So taking that lead, I will come to my last slide, and that's about information age and its security threats. And you might have again heard about the statement shift left. Security is the last thing I want to talk about in the key takeaways. Uh, Before we get into the on the final thing, I will share some stats. Right now, as we speak, there are 40,000 new vulnerabilities which are being circulated out there. 1.7 billion stolen credentials are circulating in the dark web right now. There is a new branch of services called ransomware as a service. It's booming in the market, and you can just reach out to them to have a ransomware impact. Global cybersecurity market was to 300 billion in last year and is expected to reach 644 billion by end of next decade. By the way, 300 billion is more than the global GDP of whole Scandinavian countries. The old way, security was the final gatekeeper testing the application just before the release, and that's the was most optimal at that time. The new way of working should be security should be shift left. Security is an integrated part of the entire process, and you guys who work on day in day out in the tech world has to have security mindset all the time. By having a shift left, we will reduce cost and work and increase velocity and empower our developers. The ultimate goal of shifting left is to make secure way easy for developers. And as they say it, as you can either fix it on the drawing board with the eraser or with a sledgehammer on a construction site. Right, so these were the key takeaways I would like to share with you all. And in the closing remarks, remember, in the age of AI, our greatest tool is not our code, but our curiosity. For any questions or suggestions, feel free to reach out to me. I am available on LinkedIn. You can see the links there, or follow my blog where I usually write between on the intersection of AI philosophy and cybersecurity. Thank you. Over to you and Luna and Ali.
Yeah, sure. Thanks a lot for your great insights. I have two questions. One question is more for the people like who are watching our sessions, like developers, IT people. Like, what do you think? Since like we are right now developing AI, we are building a lot of tools to make it sophisticated. As an current, like, let's say developers or IT people, how they have to shift their perspective towards IT in order to be competitive and find jobs in the future, basically competing with AI, like what kind of fields they have to choose, what they have to learn, like what kind of skills or knowledge bases they have to acquire in order to be successful in the future that they couldn't lose their jobs. Let's say if someone right now watching our session, like a student, let's say learning Java, and maybe like he has some will to learn Java, maybe he's hardworking, but he should also have like correct strategy, like to move forward, right? What are your advices for those people, like how they have to shift their careers in the future?
Hmm? That's a very great question, Alnur, and I get this question many times. In fact, a couple of weeks back, I was in some talk, and many people, young guys, reached out to me. So the only thing I told them is nobody knows the answer, and that's something we have to believe and live by the rule that if somebody tells you do this, and then you'll be fine, that's the utter shit. Nobody knows the answer. The only thing they have to know, we are at this very unique cusp in the history, that we are in this cusp stage of taking over the AI. So the only thing they can do is have this change mindset, be open, keep on exploring different ways they can add value on whatever things they're doing. If they're working in organizations, keep on looking in different ways out there, how they can add value, how they can automate things, and different tools on the way will come and go, but they need to have this change mindset. So that's the only lesson I would like to give. If I say that I know the silver bullet, or if anybody says that this is the silver bullet, there is no silver bullet. We are at this very unique stage that nobody knows what's going to happen.
Yeah, I also think that basically, like from what I have heard, like what I have seen, let's say there is this DevOps now, there's this DevSecOps. I think industry right now requires people be more adaptable and open for the changes. If you have to learn multiple skills for your job, so you have to be really adaptable for that, and you have to basically tune your all knowledge and skills, not learning specific subjects, but like multitasking and learning like multiple fields at the same time, just to have like background in that.
I think you said it very right. Adaptable is the key word. I mean, you can of course learn different things, but I can just add on the adaptable things. Whenever you do something, be or make sure that you are very good at that, at least couple of things. Be T-shape, learn couple of things as good as you can, and then be good at other things.
Yeah.
That's where the magic happens.
And also one really interesting point with Ali, we were also discussing last time. You really nicely mentioned about this evaluation of the humanity, like how we got from Stone Age and now, right now, we are in the AI phase of this humanity. Like,
Yeah.
for example, from my own experience and from the developer experience, I have seen that right now people tend to lose their analytical thinking. Let's say if they want to do something, instead of like thinking on their own that we used to do, for example, researching in Google, like finding the problem, or if we cannot find it, basically collaborating with our colleagues or reading the book about that or research papers. Right now, AI made it so simpler for us. And as also you mentioned that it's kind of instant satisfaction. For example, you can find your solution for the specific problem under minutes,
Mm,
but it's good in one sense that we are saving time. But what do you
mm.
think, like in a long term, are we gonna lose all our like analytical thinking, like logical reasoning, the problem that in the future basically AI will be smarter than us and it's gonna end the humanity, or in what sense basically we're gonna be like useless?
Mm. Great question. It's a very loaded question, Elnur. So I will give on my perception on the last 20 years of my existence in technology world. Uh, we all need to understand there's a big difference between the instant gratification and delayed gratification, and I think I spoke about it a bit in the first slide. Uh, right now we are in this phase where all the work and the jobs are being automated, and in next 10 years we will see that everything will get anything which is desk based or computer based will get automated. But what will happen next? There are different estimates which says that humans will get more time to do different, more strategic and more critical things which we think AI can't do right now. So that's the shift we are moving towards. So again, have a curiosity, a curious mindset. Ask the why. Have this double diamond which I approach. Give never don't get into the solutioning phase, because solutioning can be done by AI much better, much faster, much cheaper than us. But bringing the why problem or the why part is something which AI doesn't know, because we have to remember all AI models as of today are only trained on some data sets, and they only know what we know. But AI machines or AI models doesn't know what they don't know, and it's only humans. We have that possess skill as of today, and it might change tomorrow. We only know what we don't know, but not the AI. So we need to make our left shift on that turn and be more good at finding things or imagining things which doesn't exist out there.
But does it mean that we have to basically find our problems more in our own than just relying on AI? Because if we habituate using AI all the time for our problems, so it means that even like single problems, if we want to think about that, not brain is basically try to save the energy in our life, right? For brain, it's easy just to write prompt to the chat GPT and get the instant answer. Do you think that people should use AI in their daily life less and less to become more analytical and be more logical, or they have to use more and more in the future, that the technology basically will have higher precedence in our life, that so everything will be decided by the technology, so that's why we have to be adaptable for those changes? Like, what's your take on this?
Hmm. So I'll reiterate your question. Your question is how and what should we do as humans at this stage? Should we use AI models more or less?
Yeah.
I will say it all depends on the use case. All the things which are laptop based or computer based should be automated, and we definitely should use AI. we should use as much we can. And I always recommend to my kids who are 9 and 10 and they're using AI for a lot of things, but we should also restrain on relying 100% on that. As I said, AI is based or trained on data models, and all those, 5 6 models out there, they only know what we know or what we have trained them. They don't know what are the main other problems we have. So we need to, use our minds and thoughts to find the do the other thinking, and then leverage on AI on the things which they're best at. So that's how I see it.
Yeah, thanks so much. I appreciate your answer. And yeah, it was really great. I really appreciate your time, and it was great presentation. And guys, that was it from Chakshu side. I hope it was useful and beneficial for the listeners. And if you would like to share your experience, share your expertise with us, also uh, under each video we have this form to be our speaker. If you'd like to talk about your experience, your story, please fill through the form, and our team will contact you, and you can be our next guest speaker in upcoming weeks. So that's why I truly appreciate your time also for the time you spent with us. And guys, that's it from the Dev Stand Up episode 11. I hope it was interesting and useful, and see you in our next session. Bye bye.
Thank you guys. Bye bye.